Seattle is one of those places that I really can't stand because it's so darn woke.
While baristas are on strike, the baristas have shared that the best way to show our support is not to buy Starbucks in solidarity.
But the problem with it being so darn woke is it also comes with higher taxes, including a higher estate tax, including a higher capital gains tax, period, unlike Florida. And so, if you got any money, you certainly don't want to be living in the likes of Seattle. And
that is why I am proud to join them on their picket line and proud to say loud and clear, I am not buying Starbucks and you should not either.
And now the Starbucks founder and former CEO, Howard Schultz, is saying, sayonara, bye-bye, Seattle. It's been nice. I'm going to Florida, red state.
5 stores will shut down in the coming weeks. Those stores located at First Hill, the Metropolitan Park East building, the Seattle Center Armory, on the Ave, and at Seattle Children's Hospital. This comes less than a week after Starbucks announced plans to open a new corporate office in Nashville, Tennessee.
Do you hate it sometimes when you're right? I've always said, we've got this whole my neck, my back, my paycheck is whack. You got these ridiculous Starbucks barista protesters protesting against adverse coffee pouring conditions. And they're always saying, we need more money. And I've always said, you know what? That minimum wage can always go to 0. Well, that's happened to 69 Comrades in Seattle. Yet 4 out of the 5 stores that got closed down were union, demanding that they get paid better, demanding just a bunch of stuff, right? Instead of just getting in there, doing their job and saying, hey, thanks for a job. They just want to whine and bitch and complain and have the mayor out front. I encourage you not to buy from one of our own companies that we need to basically pay the taxes so that the city can operate. But hey, let's go ahead and say, oh, yeah, well, no go on Starbucks. I mean, just absolute mental nonsense, right? Some might say it's union busting. I say it's 69 Comrades got what they had coming for them. 0. Let's read the story. So, Starbucks laying off 69 workers at 5 stores that were previously announced to close. The employees affected, all baristas and shift supervisors. So not middle management, not managers in general, not anybody doing logistics, none of those people, just baristas and their shift supervisors. Weird. Worked at stores on First Hill, University District, on the Ave. You had a store on the Ave. You can't tell me college students aren't just, gobbling up that. They're just, Starbucks, getting that caffeine in so that they can get their PhD in basket weaving and then become, unemployed, homeless people doing drugs. Okay. In the Seattle Center Armory, that was a really busy one. In Seattle Children's Hospital, okay. In the Starbucks in the Metropolitan Park East building downtown. Closed. Those employees fired. These choices are never easy. These choices are never easy, especially here at home. But they're an important part of focusing on what we do best and delivering our back to Starbucks strategy. Back to Starbucks. You know where those employees aren't going? You know where those comrades aren't going? They are not driving back to Starbucks because they are fired. 0. Minimum wage went to 0. How about them apples, comrades? What about them apples? This was a statement from Starbucks spokesperson J.C. Anderson, told the Seattle Times. 4 of the 5 stores closed. The Seattle Times is just an arm of the Democrat Party, isn't it? It is so. Look at the front page. We had another No Kings protest. Just absolutely horrific. Waking up and seeing, just libtard after libtard after libtard article from the Seattle Times. Just no reality, just one-sided. One of the reasons I'll be happy to leave, so I don't have to see the front page of the Seattle Times every day when I walk into a mini mart. It's like, there's some more, terrible reporting. 4 of the 5 stores closed were part of the Starbucks Workers United. Now, they are now the Starbucks workers fired. Starbucks comrades fired. Starbucks workers working for $0 per hour. Starbucks demoted to $0 per hour. Worker-led unionizing effort fighting for higher pay, more hours for employees, and better protections for the staff. You're pouring coffee, people. You're pouring coffee. Let's not get excited here and think that you're going to actually, provide for a family working at Starbucks. It's not really that kind of a job. It never really has been. Now, I don't drink coffee, so I can't really say what makes a good cup of coffee, but every single time I run a Starbucks article, people always put in the comments, I don't like Starbucks coffee. I think it tastes better. I don't know. I don't drink it. I will have a Starbucks green tea, an Emperor's green tea, hot. It's good. It's green tea. Some of their breakfast sandwiches, this is news for reasonable people. Some of their breakfast sandwiches are top notch. But you know what? You don't need a barista to put a breakfast sandwich in a microwave or heat it up however they do. They do come out really hot. You can almost just burn your mouth eating those breakfast sandwiches. So, company spokesperson, Starbucks, told the Seattle Times regarding their fallen comrades that the store's union status was not a factor in its shutdown. Starbucks Workers United has yet to comment. Hey, you guys want to say something? You're all fired. What happened there? What happened? Well, corporate thought that we weren't needed. First Hill location closed on Sunday, while the Seattle Children's Hospital store closes this Friday. The other 3 coffee shops will close on April the 5th. That's sad. Oh, that's so sad. That's comrades out of work. Socialism works for those who don't. And that's what we're talking about today. Those who are not employed. Because you demanded a bunch of nonsense your position doesn't require, and the employer said, nah, we're just going to close that one and you're fired. We're going to close that one and you're fired. I drove by my Starbucks. I have one Starbucks. I've actually had a few. I've had 2 that got closed down. One was a little drive-through in the Crossroads area by where I live. And I still drive there sometimes thinking, I'm just going to get a breakfast sandwich. No, I'm not, because they closed it because it wasn't it didn't meet their financial model. It wasn't a union store either. And it's like, okay, I got to go around the block because, I'm in Bellevue, which is Seattle, and, you drive 3 blocks anywhere and you're going to have 4 or 5 Starbucks on every single corner. So that's what I got to do. I got to drive up 156 for a couple of blocks, and there we go. There's Starbucks. The other Starbucks is over in Seattle on East Lake, where they've got a $150 million bike lane project going on. $150 million to put a bike lane on what should be a car lane, but it's not because it's Seattle. They closed down that Starbucks, and it got all graffitied up, and they tore all the stuff out of the inside of the store. I'm hearing stories about Starbucks just taking out tenant improvements. Let's just put it that way. Destroying stuff so future people can't use it. And the store was all graffitied up, and they tore a bunch of the stuff out. Now they've got it all cleaned up. They're looking to release that Starbucks building. Hundreds of Starbucks stores nationwide closed last year, including more than 30 in Washington, resulting in layoffs affecting 369 employees. So before you numbnut comrades get out there and do the whole my neck, my back, my paycheck is whack, how whack is your paycheck when it goes to 0? How whack is that? Is that pretty whack? I mean, I'm just asking for a friend. Is that whack or is that wacky? Your paycheck, it got whacked to 0. Huh, weird. In total, nearly 1,000 Starbucks workers and 1,100 corporate employees were laid off last year. We're getting back to Starbucks, just not the 69 employees that got fired here, because they're probably not driving anywhere. They're stumbling up the stairs to get some of mom's home brewed coffee because they live in their parents' basement, and they can't afford Starbucks coffee anymore. Nor is it a job perk because their job percolating coffee is now done. Yeah. Starbucks plans to expand with hundreds of new stores. I found this kind of hilarious from the standpoint of, you guys are all fired, but we're opening up hundreds of new stores. Yeah, okay. We're aligning with the get back to Starbucks. After a tumultuous 2025, Starbucks plans on expanding. Leaders within Starbucks, 650 locations worldwide, 128 in the first quarter. Recent changes within Starbucks strategy began when Brian Niccol became CEO. I mean, he's doing a bang-up job just firing those comrades. More power to you, Brian. Get out there. Since he left Chipotle to lead Starbucks. Coffee Giant has been reworking its operation. Plans to invest $1 billion in training, upgrades, and more efficient stores. All right, get out those pesky, my neck, my back, my paycheck is whack. Get those people pesky protesters off the streets, right? And Mayor Katie Wilson, you might not want to protest against one of the bigger employers, at least from a historical standpoint in your city. I stand with the baristas. No, that's right. Mayor Katie Wilson was basically unemployed before. I'm sorry, she ran an NGO or some kind of Workers of the World Unite thing. Quarter four was a milestone quarter in getting back to Starbucks. We know this continues to be a multi-year turnaround. We remain focused on driving our top line, profit line, while managing the costs, meaning some of you got to get fired. Managing the costs that are within our control to deliver durable, sustainable growth and long-term shareholder value. That's the pitch, right? That's the pitch. And you might think that's just a bunch of nonsense. When you've got a publicly traded company, they have a fiscal responsibility to create a return for their shareholders. You invest in Starbucks, they make sure your money starts to grow, right? Share price, dividends, whatever that might be. And when you got a bunch of knuckleheads doing stupid protest chants out in front of Starbucks stores because they're complaining that they're not getting paid enough or not getting enough hours or whatever, management and corporate can basically say, you know what, we're barely making any money in that store. And we got some real liability because it's in an area where you got a lot of criminal activity going on. Close that store down. And that's what's going on. And now the comrades are upset. Starbucks reported that during a 13-week fiscal first quarter, which ended December 28, 2025, sales increased North America and U.S. stores 4%. That's huge. That's a huge number. Big number. And you know why? Getting rid of those pesky people out there protesting. Now, that's not the exact cause and effect. But being fired after protesting is. Yeah. Katie Wilson, you helped out these 69 comrades because they are now, you got it, fired. You're fired. We've got more work to do. Isn't there always more work to do? We've got more work to do, but our return to global comp growth and the momentum we're building gives me confidence that we're on the right path to deliver the very best of Starbucks for our customers and shareholders. New CEO said, the old Chipotle guy said. Yeah. So big news is yes, you may protest against your employer, but then you may also get fired. That's how this game is played. And I literally find it hilarious when you've got these situations where people think, everybody else in Seattle is protesting. Everybody's behind me. Look at all the people driving by and honking their horns, little knowing that they just want them to get off the effing road so they can get to their job. Because unlike the protesting comrades, some people have a place to go, and it's called employment. Unlike those who just got fired and their minimum wage went to how much? $0. Expect more of this. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks again for joining. Bye for now.